welcome back to the HOG-POD for the next part of this special series in February as we continue to take a closer look at the part played by females in the world of motorcycling and, of course, within the world of Harley ownership. We have so far been joined by a number of females from chapters right across our part of the world, all of whom have been able to rely on nearby chapters for rallies, ride-outs and Ladies of Harley events.
However, the most southerly chapter in the HOG UK and Ireland family is the island of Jersey. And given its size and geographical location, Jersey is also very unique in nature. The Jersey chapter is likely one that many of us haven't visited or perhaps even considered visiting. However, there are many reasons to do so and to do just that. And I'm pleased to say that today we're going to be joined by somebody who can provide an inside track on all the great things about Jersey and the Jersey chapter. So welcome, Cassandra.
Hello. Hi, guys.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. And yourselves?
Yeah, we're all very good.
Good.
We're all very good, yeah.
The weather's not so nice where we are at the moment. I suspect it's a little bit better where you are.
Slightly milder and slightly drier, I would think.
Yes, Cassandra, it's great to have you on board tonight, and you're very, very welcome. So tell us a bit about yourself and the Jersey HOG chapter and your role as director.
Okay, so thanks for having me on here. This is a real privilege for me. So our chapter was formed in 1999 by 6 local Harley owners who were basically meeting in a pub and decided that they should do something a little bit more formal. So that's where the chapter was born. And our actually sponsoring dealer was one of those founding members. So obviously we have a very close relationship with our sponsoring dealer. But our membership generally is pretty static, usually around about the 70 members per annum mark. It's a little bit dependent on new bike sales because that will determine little fluctuations. Some years are better than others in terms of that. But, you know, we have about sort of 15 to 20 lady members, most of them pillions. We probably have a handful that now ride their own bikes, which is great. And as I say, you know, we make the most of our little island and we ride as much as we can. We meet up, we enjoy coffee and cakes, socialising. We have social nights and we have meetings. And, you know, we're pretty much like the bigger chapters, only we do it a lot smaller scale. And, you know, we have a great time. Nobody really cares about your background and what you do for a living. And we're all just enthusiasts.
You see, the island of Jersey, and up until tonight, you know, I thought there was only really 1 or 2 islands there. You know, I've since learned from yourself that there's actually 5, but little is known about the island of Jersey. How do you go about your ride-outs and events, etc.? Do you want to tell us about those?
Yeah, so although we're a small island of 45 square miles, we do have literally hundreds of miles of roads, small roads, little single file lanes. We have some bigger main roads. We don't have any motorways. We've got 1 dual carriageway that is approximately 2.5, 3 miles long. But we organise ourselves. Most of our ride outs are based around venues that serve the best coffee and cakes. I'll be honest.
Proper order. Yeah.
But we're quite creative, you know, and we make the most of what we've got. And, you know, we're always chopping it up, turning it around, changing direction. We do lots of technical little rides. A lot of our lanes are very off-camber, complicated, difficult junctions, steep, twisty. So we try to put in as much of that as we can. You know, and we mix it up with the easier sort of main road around the island coast, you know, and it's great for us because it keeps our skill level up, you know, and we really enjoy sort of the complexities of challenging ourselves a little bit on some of these roads.
As a road captain myself from the Belfast chapter, you know, what you're describing, it must be very, very difficult to organise the ride-outs and more so to kind of keep everybody together and whatnot? How does that happen?
Yeah, it is. It is slightly more difficult because our roads tend to be shorter. There's a lot more junctions, and there's a lot more crossings, so we don't have distance to kind of regroup and keep everybody together so much. But the way we ride is parade style pretty much all of the time. So staggered formation. We ride as a tight group, so we don't let traffic in between us. We don't do second man drop in Jersey because it has proven to not really work very well for us as a chapter. We do use our road captains and our experienced chapter members to assist, I'll call it that, in crossing junctions. And we do that for safety reasons. We don't stop traffic as such, but we cross as a group when it's convenient to do so, causing the minimal amount of disruption to other road users. And that way it keeps us together. And we do kind of make every effort that we can not to lose people on the ride. Unfortunately, sometimes people do get split up, but we'll try and stop further down the road if we can and things like that. So we're always quite conscious about staying together.
Yeah, kind of the buddy system.
Yeah. So it's difficult for us at times, but on the other hand, we're very experienced at the way we ride and the way that we actually navigate some of these more awkward junctions. So it works for us.
So you were saying there about the way that you have to cross junctions, etc. I take it the car traffic around Jersey, it's quite a familiar sight for them, is it, to see a group of motorcycles, whether it's Harley or any other bikes, and they'll cooperate, won't they? I can just imagine if we try to cross over certain junctions where I live there, and it wasn't a traffic light, so to speak, there'd probably be difficulties. But for yourselves, do the cars cooperate?
Yeah, I mean, most road users are very understanding. They're very patient and they're very good with us. We're out most Sundays, weather permitting, and there is quite a large number of motorcycle riders in the island on various types of machines. So it is a common sight to see lots of bikes. There's lots of scooters and things like that as well. What I would say is that probably the Harleys command the most respect I've over my experience of riding over here. Most car drivers are respectful to the bigger bikes. You're seen less as a speed merchant or whatever. And, I think people appreciate the bikes for what they are. And, most people are very accommodating and very patient and, let us kind of get across the junction and get out of the way. And I think most people realise that the way we ride is done for safety as well. Safety
reasons. Yeah. I think for most chapters on the mainland and on the island of Ireland, we would have our chapter numbers, but then there would be, a more of a core sort of regular participants. How does that work for you guys? If you have smaller numbers, are they all active, or would you have like a regular attendance from certain individuals?
Yeah, I think and having it's exactly that. I think probably 20 to 25 members are probably our core on a Sunday. So there's always the same sort of faces week in, week out. So whilst we might have a much larger membership, some people maybe just join us once a year. Some people own a Harley. They're a chapter member, but we don't really see them. We might see them at the Christmas party. That might be about it. But we have, people join for a range of reasons. And having spoken to lots of chapter members over the years in various countries and also in America, it's apparent that it's always a similar percentage of core membership throughout the chapters, no matter how big the chapter is. Having joined the chapter in 2010, my first role was the Ladies of Harley officer in 2012, and I did that in conjunction with activities. My husband was the activities officer. So we did that till about 2015 when I took over the treasurer's role. and I was the treasurer from 2015 through to pretty much the end of last year. For one reason and another, I was asked to pick up the reins as director in September of last year, 2022. So I'm relatively new to the role, but I've really embraced it. I did deliberate for quite a long time. Myself and Chris, my husband, discussed it at length, whether it was a good idea or, and various pros and cons of doing it. Obviously, I'm aware that there are a couple of other lady directors, but it's not necessarily common in the UK. I did wonder how the membership would react because, it can be difficult for change. But actually, we've got a really good chapter and everybody's really supportive. And I feel that I earned the position on my merits. I've been an officer for a number of years. I've always tried to be fair and treat everybody with respect, and I hope that, the way that I've conducted myself has helped, to earn some respect from everybody in the chapter. And, I really have got a passion for Harley Davidson and we're real Harley enthusiasts. So for me, it was an absolute honour to take the role. I come from a management background. It's really my job, Monday to Friday. So I'm used to lots of admin. I'm used to organising things. I'm used to managing staff and HR and all that kind of thing. So for me, it's not a huge challenge because this is what I know. This is what I'm good at. It's an absolute pleasure. And I'm really grateful to the dealer principal for having the confidence in me to take this forward, and I'm going to do a good job because this is my personal challenge to me to do a good job and to get the most out of the chapter. There's going to be a few changes. There's things that we can do better. But, I want input from the guys and girls within the chapter. It's, everybody's got an opinion. They're allowed to air it. If I'm not doing something right, I want them to tell me. If I'm doing, if things are going well, then that's great too. But, I also want to know if people aren't happy. It's important. We're all great friends really at the end of the day, and we're all enthusiasts. We love our bikes. It's a great bunch of people. Harley is a really unique brand in that you meet motorcyclists all over the world and everybody waves and everybody's friendly no matter what language you speak. But Harley is a little bit different, and everybody that has got a Harley, there's kind of like some sort of unwritten relationship that you have with people from the world of Harley. And it's a great club to be in, to be a Harley owner. It's brought me some wonderful experiences, and I wouldn't change any of that.
Definitely agree with everything you said there, particularly to do with how unique the brand is. I've previously owned other bikes. I've owned Hondas and I've had a couple of Suzukis, and the idea of there being a Suzuki owners club or a Honda's owners club, there may well be something, but it just doesn't feel like what we have, does it, with Harley Davidson? And as you say, it's almost unwritten. If you see someone wearing a cut and a rocker, you just start talking.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't matter even if you don't speak the same language, you can point, you smile, you wave, and, you just share the moment with whoever it is, and I'll just give you a little bit of a snippet. Chris and I got married on our Harleys with the chapter. We didn't, second time round for us both. We didn't want a white wedding or any other fuss and all the expense. So we just got our chapter in 2013. And we went down the registry office with our Harleys, parked outside, quickly went in, quarter of an hour, we were back out, and we went to a local restaurant and we had bacon rolls and cheesecake. And do you know what? That was probably one of the best ways of doing it. great.
Yeah.
Again, Gerard, it sounds far better, Jersey. I'm getting packed up here. I'm away.
Listen, I've my bag packed and all. It's sitting over there.
You're more than welcome.
I'll see you in a couple of hours, Cassandra. Make sure you're at that boat waiting on me. But, it all sounds very interesting. It sounds like an amazing place. But did you have did you face any challenges trying to encourage more women into the chapter, or promoting Ladies of Harley, or even where are you with Ladies of Harley? What are your views on that?
I mean, I think it's great. It's definitely got a place. If it engages women into the chapter, and especially for pillions sometimes, because I always think if you're a pillion and you're just sitting on the back, perhaps it's hard to engage with the rest of the chapter. Perhaps you don't really feel like you're involved, and maybe you feel a bit sidelined. So I don't know. I think Ladies of Harley is great. I think it's definitely got a place, and I think it's great if the chapters have got a good take up of lady members. I mean, for us personally, we've got probably 15 to 20 lady members. Most of them are pillions, as I said already. Probably 3 or 4 regular riders. But for many years, I was the only girl riding over here with the chapter. There's lots of ladies that ride bikes of various makes and models, but within the chapter, I was the only one for a period of time. And that's why I've kind of become one of the guys, really. And, nobody treats me differently because I'm a girl. And, I think for us, we've tried to do things where we've just engaged the ladies. For us, because we're small in number, it hasn't really taken off because for one reason and another, some of the riding events, obviously, I can't do if I'm on my own or if there's only 2 or 3 of us. And then with regard to the pillions, perhaps, they've got other commitments and things like that. So what we've tended to do and what's working for us more so is that Ladies of Harley is just something, if we organise activities and events, we'll encourage the women to take part, but it's open to everybody, and we don't sort of say, right, guys, you can't be involved or anything like that. We just get everybody to take part in whatever it is. And we just find that works best for us, Yeah. And we try to involve the women as much as we can. So when we have a rally, we get volunteers, get people on the registration desk. I'm always out looking for people to help me out with different things. I've just appointed a Ladies of Harley officer to replace my old role. And this lady chapter member has probably only been riding a couple of years, and she was a pillion for many years. And, later in life, having never ridden bikes, she's kind of taken up the challenge and succeeded. So, I just think that's great, really.
Yeah, well, it is growing. I mean, as from yourself, not so long ago, you were the only female rider in the chapter. Mm. So it is growing. So obviously, you're doing something right. Yeah,
I mean, I think it's still. Jersey's still quite conservative, So I think for a lot of people, it's still unusual to see girls on bikes. And not so much now, but when I first had a Triumph and then I had the Harley, I had older women sort of say to me, "Oh, it's not very ladylike, is it? And, why do you want to do that? Don't you think that's a bit blokey? And why do you want to be like a bloke? And isn't that a bit butch?" And things like that. But I think
it sounds like sort of attitudes from like the black and white days. When you hear that, "Oh, that's a bit blokey." Oh, it's just. But I mean, one of the common things that's come out through all of the ladies that we spoke to for this series there seems to be this, well, we normally ask them, have you had any negativity? And, unfortunately, some of them have said, well, yes, I have actually. And me and Gerard, representing the men in the conversation are just like, oh my word, how on earth have you been facing that? But it does, as far as Ladies of Harley is concerned, you said there about not excluding the men. And that definitely seems to be quite a theme throughout the chapters. I'm sure you'd agree, Gerard, that they don't want to say, oh, it's for women only, so the men have to be excluded. I would then ask, well, do you think that for people that have maybe new, like females that are new to motorcycling or certainly new to Harley Davidson, do you think having a Ladies of Harley banner offers a little bit of support and comfort for someone that may otherwise just think, nah, that's just full of blokes?
Yeah, it probably does. And I would also hope that as a director, seeing another woman riding a bike at director level, would encourage any sort of new Harley owner, any new female rider to perhaps give it a go, and unfortunately, sometimes when you wear a patch and things, there is still a little bit of an image that, you're out to rape and pillage. And, unfortunately, that's not the situation, but people get confused between like motorcycle clubs and what patches really mean and things like that. So it can be daunting, if you turn up and, you don't know anybody, you're new to Harley. It's really quite daunting to ride up to a group of people and just kind of go, hi, I'm here, I'm new, So we really want to change that. And that's why, hopefully moving forward, we can make that approach to any new bike purchaser within the dealership. They automatically get a 1-year free chapter membership with their bike purchase. We're going to actively contact these people, encourage them along, and try and build relationships, because some people, they don't want to be involved. They've got their own personal reasons why they don't want to be part of HOG. They don't know anything about it necessarily. And then you've got other people that would like to do it, but they're just really apprehensive about, approaching a bunch of strangers on bikes, because, there still is a little bit of that, they might be like, sort of mean to me or whatever, or, maybe I'm not good enough.
Absolutely. You'll know yourself, Cass, once you, and I've referred to it before, once you peek behind the curtain and see what we're actually all about, it couldn't be any further from the truth. Certainly for myself, I walked into an AGM meeting as my very first meeting, and I'm being quite the game guy that I am, was still like, wow, this is a bit intimidating, and my wife was with me as well, and she loves to ride, albeit pillion. She did, she has a CBT, but because of COVID, she never moved on. But, even she was like, oh, are we going to be welcome here? And it's not a 1%er. It's not a 3%er. It's not a nomad group, is it? It's a family friendly riding group.
It's basically, a group of enthusiasts, and most of the time we just want to talk about our bikes, and ride around. So, and enjoy like the social side of having a meal or a coffee and things like that, but it's equally as daunting for some of the new guys as well, and that's not just women, worrying about entering the chapter for the first time, but even for the guys, I can appreciate how difficult that is sometimes. You might not be the most outgoing person, and it can be hard to approach a group of people that are parked up chatting amongst themselves. That can be really difficult. So, we always try, if we spot someone coming along that looks new or we haven't seen that bike before, we purposely kind of make a beeline for them so they don't have to make that sort of walk across to us. We go to them and, hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. It really puts people at ease.
Yeah, you see, and we discussed this actually, Cassandra, on an earlier podcast that we did on why HOG, and you're right, people have varying opinions on HOG. some are all for HOGs, some are totally against it, and they all have their own reasons for it. But I think the one thing that can be said about HOG is with HOG and the various chapters, HOG has given us the tools to become more like a brotherhood, because I know, and I know that I don't even have to ask this question, but I know that if I had taken the bike over to Jersey and broke down somewhere, I'd only have to go onto the Jersey chapter, contact somebody on the Jersey chapter and go, help.
Yeah, absolutely. And our membership is made up of so many different people of so many different backgrounds. There's people with great bike skills, mechanical skills. There's people with skills in other areas. So generally, if you've got an issue, we can find somebody within the chapter to help. If you're a visiting bike, you've just got to go in the dealership, and before you know it, you're going to be invited to the Sunday ride. You'll be lucky if there's not a phone call made while you're standing in there to say there's some visitors here, anybody free, and things like that. And we go out of our way to meet people. And, if we see visiting Harleys, we always make a beeline for them, whether they want us or not. They probably think we're stalkers most of the time, but they don't have a choice. But, the thing is, if something happens and you're over here and you're at one of our rallies and, perhaps you need a little bit of mechanical help, or, somebody's bound to have a spanner, or somebody's bound to know what to do. So, we're great at helping each other out. Nobody's going to leave anybody. Yeah. And that's basically, that's a great relationship with not just the Jersey chapter, but chapters on the whole. And if there are any benefits with HOG, surely that's one of them. Do you know what I mean? And to my mind, it would be one of the benefits right at the top. Yeah, it's the most social bike club, if you like, or group of bikers that I've ever been involved in. And I know lots of other chapter members would say the same. We've got chapter members that have been in other motorcycle clubs or been in other groups with other brands. And, everybody will sort of say that Harley is the most sociable bunch of people. And we kind of look out for each other, it's funny, but, you always kind of gravitate towards another Harley owner, don't you?
It does, yeah, it does. We've spoken to a number of ladies, Cassandra, and, and it varies from place to place. But, the world of motorcycle, whether it's right or whether it's wrong, or whether you agree, whether you disagree, it is seen to be, a hugely male-dominated area. Right, and to take on the role for a female to take on the role of director of a chapter, how was that a challenge? How did that go down for you? How did it come about? And how are you finding it?
If I give you a little bit of background into my life, I kind of come from a family where the men rode motorbikes. On my mother's side, she had quite a lot of brothers. They all rode motorbikes. But after the war, it was a method of transport to get to and from work, and less of a pleasure weekend sort of vehicle. And then obviously my father rode a Norton in the sort of 60s and very early 70s. My brother had a motorbike in the mid to late 70s. So I've kind of grown up with seeing photos of people and, conversations about bikes they rode and back in the day and things like that. I had a bit of a motocross off-road background from the age of 11 till I was about 15. Then I rode a 50cc road bike for about a year. Once I had my car license, however, and realised that I was a bit fed up of getting wet and ruining my hair, I probably for about 10 years drove cars. And at the time I had a good job. and I sort of indulged in quite nice cars, and that was my lifestyle. I was in a different relationship where my partner didn't ride bikes, and so during my 20s, I didn't really sit on a bike or even touch a bike. And unfortunately, that relationship came to an end. And in 2008, I bought myself initially a scooter, and that was mainly to commute to work because I didn't want to pay parking charges anymore. So I started off buying a scooter just to go to work Monday to Friday, and quickly followed by a Triumph Bonneville in 2009. And that's the bike I did my big bike test on. So from there, I turned up at a rally. There was a Hogs Around the Rock rally in 2009. And I'd seen something in the Evening Post the previous day saying that the chapter was going to be showing their bikes at a certain location. It was a Saturday. And I went down there with my mother, and we were just looking at some Harleys. And she knew that I had a bit of an interest and I wanted to move on to a Harley. And I happened to meet somebody there that I'd worked with probably about a dozen years earlier, and got chatting and sort of said, I didn't realise you had Harleys. I didn't think that was your thing. I thought you were a sports bike guy. And he said, no, I've got all sorts of bikes. And it was left at that. I then went in the dealership in early 2010 and ordered a deluxe. That arrived around about the August, September time. And I joined the chapter in late 2010. In the meantime, I touched base with this member that I had previously met at the rally, who's now my husband.
I was waiting for that one. Yeah.
And it kind of went from there, really. So I joined the chapter in 2010, learnt the ropes, basically, kind of got confident on my bike. And I've been always headstrong about the fact that I'll accept help, but I want to ride as well as I can. And I don't want the guys to make any allowances for me because I'm a girl. And in my opinion, you have to ride as well as, if not better than the guys, because you only improve by riding with people who have got good skills. And the more you ride and the more you ride with people that have got good skills, you listen to the advice, the better you get.
Can I just cut in here?
Yeah.
Apologies for cutting in, but you know, just something that you said there just sort of touched me when you said that you have to ride as well as, if not better than the guys. Why do you say that?
That comes from, it's probably me, but in my mind, I don't want people to have to be waiting for me. I didn't want them to have to feel like they were having to make a concession because I was a girl and, all that kind of stuff. And actually, the guys have been really, really good. I've never had any negativity from any of the Harley guys, and I have got a good skill set. I know, what my capabilities are on the bikes. I've now got an ultra low, which I ride over here and also away. But, that has been an endeavour of mine to make sure that I have got really good bike skills.
It's an interesting point and it's interesting that you should say that. Do you think maybe that is played out with quite a lot of female riders within chapters, that they feel that they have to be as good as, if not better than the guys, that they maybe feel a bit intimidated?
I don't know. I mean, I've seen over the years, I've seen lady riders of various skill set. I've seen guys that ride really badly, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I
was that guy.
but it's always been really important to me. I didn't want people to feel like they had to make a special concession. I didn't want them to feel like they had to wait for me. They had to help me. I mean, if I need help and I'm struggling, I'll ask. My husband is really good in that, especially with the ultra, sometimes it's hard to back it up. And sometimes you park it somewhere, and this is always at the front of my mind. So when I come to stop, the first thing I'm thinking is I'm not going to just follow everybody who's going to park in a certain way, because for me, I've got to be able to back that bike out. And I'm only 5'3", so I don't have the height. So I'm always thinking about how I'm going to tackle it, whether it's a camber of the road, or whether I'm parking, or what I'm going to do next, because what happens next determines what I'm going to do now. Because you've only got one chance with these bikes, and when they go, they go. So I don't want that to happen. So I'm always thinking about that, and I'm happy to accept help and advice and things like that over the years. My husband's an experienced bike rider. He's ridden off-road for years as well. So I was just going to add that, one of the things that we do as a chapter, and perhaps as a much smaller group of individuals, and particularly since I've had the ultra, is we do quite a lot of cone work. So we'll go in a car park. I bought some cheap cones off eBay for sort of training little football kids and stuff. And I've got half a dozen of these cones. We take them out to an empty car park on a Sunday afternoon, and we do cone work. So we do figures of 8, we do slalom, we do all sorts of things. And we did that for quite a few weeks when I first got the ultra. My husband's got a street glide as well. And it doesn't matter really what size bike it is, but you've got to get your skill set up. And it's important, and it's important for me that I ride well. So I ride as much as I can. And this is a thing I would say to some of the ladies. It's difficult when you've got kids, dogs, family and responsibilities to make the time. I'm lucky that I don't really have all of that. So it's just me and my husband. We ride bikes. It's pretty much our life. We ride push bikes as well. So we're used to sort of riding bikes at every opportunity, and the more you ride, the better your skills will be. And it's as simple as that, really. You can tell on a Sunday the people that only ride their bike infrequently, because they get on it and it's like they don't have a relationship with that bike.
So talking about how social we are, on the 8th of September to the 10th of September this year is the Jersey Chapter annual rally. Tell us a little bit about that, and what would you say to anyone thinking, I want to do something different this year, where shall I go?
HOGs Around the Rock is the weekend of the 8th to the 10th of September. Whilst it may seem a little bit late in the year, generally we still have the weather here. So normally we have a good weekend weather-wise. We have up to 200 bikes that join the rally. Most come from the mainland, and we have various chapters that always support our rallies. But we also get chapter members from France, so there'll be 2 or 3 different chapters usually that will come over. It's a great weekend. It's, from the minute you arrive on the ferry, there's usually at least 1, 2 or more of the local chapter members that will be waiting at the docks for you. So when you ride off the boat and you're thinking, right, I'm going to program my sat nav and I'm going to my hotel. No, you're going to get accosted by us first, because we're going to stop you, ask you where your hotel is, and we're going to escort you there. And it's a really personal service, and we'll do that each time the boat comes in. So we will be waiting for the visiting Harley owners. It's a very personalised service, because our roads, our centre of town is quite busy. There's a lot of cars. I suppose you could compare it maybe to London traffic in terms of intensity. We've got a lot of one-way systems, and it can be a bit awkward and confusing. So we know the roads like the back of our hand, and it's quicker and easier. And It's just, we think it's a more personal approach to actually escort you to your hotel when you arrive. So if you want to come to a rally that's a little bit different from anything else you're going to do in the UK, Jersey is the one for you. Obviously, we've got a lot of French heritage. We've got a lot of great museums. We've got a lot of great restaurants, bars, and it's a very pretty little island. And if you want to ride, at a slower, more relaxed pace, take in some slightly different styles of riding with our smaller roads, and have a great weekend of fun, this is the place to come. You could almost be in Europe. You've got a boat journey, so it is a little bit like going away, except you're still in an English-speaking place. And we've got a party on the Saturday evening. We've got a couple of good bands that are going to play. We've got food. We've got ride outs. We guide. It's escorted ride outs throughout the weekend. So you don't have to think about anything. You just need to follow. We'll sort out all the logistics of the ride outs and everything else. So, it's a really relaxed time, and you don't have to worry about your personal safety, the safety of your motorbikes. Crime is pretty low on the island. So, you can have a great fun weekend in September.
Yeah. So what about accommodation around the venue? Is there plenty of accommodation? What is the setup for the accommodation? Are there plenty of hotels nearby, or B&Bs and camping?
Yeah, so, it's mainly hotels. We've got various good quality hotels. I'm not going to say Jersey is a cheap place to come. There are deals to be had, but, there are some good quality hotels, and, depending what your budget allows, you can book accordingly. So if you sort of stay within the St Helier town centre area, you can't go far wrong. Most places are walking distance. So if you want to go for a meal and a couple of beers in your own time, if you're staying for extra days and things like that, we're happy to kind of hang out with you and stuff like that. But we're also happy if you want to take a few days to explore by yourself. So, it is, a slightly more expensive location than perhaps other parts of the mainland. Pints of beer are not as cheap and things like that. But, we don't pay VAT, and, you can pick up some parts at the dealership while you're here. If you've got items that you want to order ahead, you can pick them up.
Yeah, I was thinking that myself. Of obviously sending stuff over back home is probably going to be counterproductive. However, if you pick it up while you're there, well, it's VAT free. Tickets. How do we get hold of tickets for this?
So we have got quite a big presence on Facebook. We've been pushing tickets on Facebook. We've got a rally page, and also we've got a website, jerseyhogs.co.uk. So you can find some information and application form there. Alternatively, you can email Jersey HOG Chapter at gmail.com, and we can send you a form. It's a paper-based form, but you can just fill it in, send it back, scan it back, take a photo of it, whatever, and we're fairly flexible. And we've had quite a lot of interest from a number of chapters. So there's a few chapters who are bringing sort of 10 or a dozen people across anyway. So we've had a really good uptake, actually. And as I say, it's about 76% sold so far. There is still places. I would urge people not to leave it to the last minute. The ferry company has put on extra capacity, so we have 50 bikes permitted per sailing. So that will really help in getting people back and forth.
And how many sailings a day?
There's generally 2 sailings a day. One is a fast ferry. One is a more traditional ferry from Portsmouth. That tends to take about 9 hours. But we've also got some of the mainland guys that are coming via France, because they are going across to France first, doing a little trip, going to an event, and then coming to us afterwards. So You can always get over via St. Malo as well. It's going to be a great weekend, and you're still in an English-speaking place with the pound notes that we have pound notes, you have pound coins, but basically you haven't got to change any money to come here. So
you've just said there actually about people that are already in the European mainland and then coming to you and then going on home. That's actually a really good one to bear in mind if you're in Europe generally, rather than relying on getting back to your start point in France to get back across to the mainland. It sounds like we would all be very welcome to Jersey, using a ferry to get to Jersey, spend a couple of days there, taking something that I would imagine a lot of us haven't actually taken in before, and then get home from there.
I've actually just remembered something, Kenny. I think in September, I know there's something coming up here in September, and I'm going to need quite a lot of French sticks. So I may have to go to France to pick those up fresh, and maybe take a shortcut home through Jersey.
Very good. And I suppose lastly, what about yourself, either as Cassandra or as a chapter? What's your plans? What have you got on for this year?
Yeah, so we've got a few trips. We're going to do the cider rally. That will be our first trip. There's about 8 or 9 of us going. So we went last year. We had a great weekend. So we're going to go back again. We're the chapter that wear the white shirts. We're identifiable by the white shirts that we wear. So we have an evening of white shirts. So we're getting known for that. But after that, we've got Budapest. So that at the moment, there's, yay.
I'll see you there.
Yeah. So there's about 4 or 5 of us going at the moment. Likelihood is we're going to ride. I think we've got one couple that are going to fly there, but we're looking to ride just to keep our hand in, really, because we haven't done a big bike trip like that for quite a long time.
Because of COVID.
Yeah. So that will be a challenge. But obviously we've got the right bikes to do it on. So after Budapest, we'll probably try and get a French trip in if we can, maybe a weekend or something around Brittany. Or we like the French dealerships, so like Rennes, Nantes, La Rochelle and Bordeaux. Those tend to be our favourites. So we'll probably take in some of that. And then obviously we've got our rally in September, so there's going to be a lot of work to get all that sorted out. And no, I mean, it's been a great privilege to be asked to take part in this. Thank you so much for inviting me. I hadn't really listened to any of your podcasts until you got in touch with me, but obviously I've been checking them out because I knew I was going to participate. And, I think it's a great idea. I think it's great that you're bringing people together like this and, keep going because, it's a wonderful family of Harley owners to be in. So it's great stuff.
Well, Cassandra, it has been an absolute pleasure
for me to
have actually to have met you tonight, and thank you so much for coming on the show. The pleasure's ours.
No, and thank you very much. It's been great and a real privilege. So really appreciate you asking me. Thank you so much.
And thank you for the school lessons as well, because I've obviously I did a little bit of research about your island before we're here, but you've filled in what was essentially a blank page when it came to my knowledge of Jersey. So as you'll all gather by now, we are very, very welcome, all of us, at any point to go to Jersey. There seems to be lots to do, lots to see. Friendly bunch. You now know who to look for, Cassandra. And I presume if you want to get in touch with her, you can just email away. There's phone numbers as well, I think, on the Facebook page. So, don't be shy. We have the advantage of Jersey being in our part of the HOG family, UK and Ireland. So make full use of it.
And please, everyone, don't forget to check out the interactive map on our website at
HOG-POD.com. You'll see a big button for the interactive map. That's where you'll find all of the rallies, all of the dates, all of the dealerships, including Hogs Around the Rock for the jerseys. So, Cassandra, thanks so much. Thank you for your time. And we will catch you again at some stage, hopefully in person. And we say this to everybody. You can come to Belfast anytime. And if I get Gerard to say, I'll be waiting for you when we get off the boat, it will sound a lot more intimidating than in your very nice accent.
I'll be waiting on you coming off the boat.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.